The Donald gets another endorsement. The governor of New Jersey, Christie, is backing the billionaire. He gave up his bid, Christie did, for the nomination earlier in the month. And he says he and Trump have been friends for years, and he respects Trump and the work they've done together.
Donald and I, along with Melania and Mary Pat, have been friends for over a decade. He has been a good and loyal friend to our family, as we have been to he and his family. And over the years, we've had a lot of wonderful times together, done a lot of good together for not only the people of the state of New Jersey, but for many charities that we've worked with and on together. And I absolutely appreciate him as a person and as a friend.
All right, let's get some perspective on this. Let's bring in Solon Simmons, Vice President for Global Strategy at George Mason University. Thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here.
Was this Christie endorsement expected?
No, I think it was a big surprise, and I think, usually we like to say that endorsements shouldn't be overrated, that you don't want to put too much in them. But what's critical in this situation that we face right now is you've got the outside. This is the year of the outsider. The outsider candidates are Trump and Bernie Sanders, and the establishment, the Republican Party, in the form of someone, I guess, Marco Rubio is the main contender now, although John Kasich might have been thought to be a better example, and certainly George Bush wasn't before, and then Clinton on the other side. The establishment is trying to reassert itself. And so what you really needed to signal, I think, at this point was that all the forces were going to gather around Rubio because Kasich was not doing all that well, wasn't being recognized for his message as much as Rubio was being recognized. And so therefore there was going to be this moment right before moving into Super Tuesday where you might start to say, yeah, will the establishment reassert itself? What's fascinating about Christie stepping in the way he did is it's effectively the last sort of remnant of the establishment through it, because he's an actual governor, saying this guy's okay. So as more and more people start to see that Donald Trump is okay, the momentum becomes almost inexorable, because if it were any other candidate in any other year, we'd say this nomination is basically locked up and Donald Trump has it. So the Christie endorsement, I think, is actually quite important for Donald Trump, also because he represents a certain style in politics. Remember, Christie was going to be the alternative to Trump in a sense. He was the blustery, tell it like it is kind of guy. So in a way, that becomes the outsider sentiment, and now it's going to get the imprimatur of the establishment of a reasonable approach to the Republican Party.
All right, so this is really a bit of a welcoming into the fold, is what you're saying.
I think so, and I think in a way you're going to see Donald Trump becoming, in a way, maybe this is too strong to say, domesticated, that is, moving out from the wild and into the center of the party once he establishes himself. What's really interesting to me about Donald Trump is that he occupies a space within American politics, and there was a piece in the New York Times a bit ago talking about Andrew Jackson, a kind of a populist space, which is both populist in the sense of a dominant culture and also a kind of I don't know if I want to call it progressive economics, but a popular economics, not an economics of the elite, but in economics for the people. And that is a space that used to be occupied by the Democrats, but as they moved out of that space more toward a business-friendly approach, and this is why Hillary Clinton is being beat up on this, that's opened that space for Donald Trump to step in. I don't think anyone expected anyone could step in that way, and he's done it in a huge way.
Yeah, you mentioned he might start to sort of domesticate or really change that tone. I think he's already started to do that. Let's talk about Marco Rubio for a second, because he stepped up his game. We saw that last night. But is this going to help him the way he needs it to help him?
Well, I know there was a lot of coverage about how aggressive he was and how they finally were coming after him. My sense is that Donald Trump is probably going to be able to weather these attacks, because if you watch him, there's a certain, although he was on the defensive, the New York Times wrote and talked about how Donald Trump was off his game. I'm not so sure that being off his game is enough at this point, because he does need to project strength, and he has that kind of strong imagery. But being attacked in this kind of way for these things that seem kind of old news, they're almost priced in like Hillary Clinton's struggles in the 1990s. People don't go toward either Trump or Clinton for these reasons. So both of those figures are starting to, I think, emerge in this contest.
All right, we've got to leave it there because we've run out of time, but we have Solon Simmons joining us today from George Mason University. Thank you for your time, sir.
Great to be here.